you know, the reason I'm out here is I met my wife through the people that worked in the railroad with me. So I ended up from Columbia Heights coming to Osseo, and I married the prettiest girl in town.
Mhm.
And so we have, I lost her, it'll be 3 years ago now in October. And so we were married close to 69 years and had gone together for a couple of years before that. So the two of us have spent our lives together.
Mhm.
And I want to tell you, it's no fun being here without her, but
Sure. Yeah.
that's the way it goes. But anyway, okay, so we moved to Osseo in 1954, 69 years ago. And we bought a little house over on 3rd Avenue Northwest, right by the high school area over there. And that's where we lived until May 1st of 1959, and we bought this house here. Okay, now during the years of 54 to 57, I worked with a contractor installing hookup systems to the sewer and water that a lot of cities were putting in sewer systems back that time, you know. And so Richfield was a busy place, Golden Valley. And so and then I did some here in Osseo later on, but is that, and I became interested in construction in that area. And then in 1957, October 1st, the city of Osseo hired me to be, with a big title and a low amount of money,
Of course.
sewer and water superintendent. Only guy on the team, except for Jim Seibert, and he was the street superintendent. So there's two of us full time back in those years in 1957. And so now in 54, when we moved to Osseo, we were still on the septic system. And so all the houses in the city here with no sanitary sewer facilities all had septic tanks and cesspools. And so you see, in fact, in my backyard here, I've discovered where there was at least 3 of them and maybe more. And so anyway, we did have one thing going for us, is that in 1915, the water system was installed. The old water tower that was talked about so much at the meetings.
Yeah.
And the original well for it was located where the city hall is now, but it was the old building then. And then in 1919, they built a wooden two-story city hall. And so anyway, back in 1957 to 61, I was part of the laboring force that patched some streets up and this and that, because the development of the area was mainly a block or two east and west of Central Avenue. The newer additions to the east could not be put in because we didn't have any sewer systems, see? So they weren't developing any more of Osseo on the east side. Now, to keep things in perspective in terms of area, is that the main north-south axis center was Central Avenue. The main east-west was Broadway Street. And so everything north of Broadway Street, east of Central Avenue, is northeast Osseo. Same thing with northwest Osseo, southeast Osseo, and southwest Osseo.
Was 169 there yet?
169, no, that was a long time.
Okay.
In fact, Central Avenue in those years was a MnDOT Highway 52
Okay.
that came up out of Minneapolis, right downtown through Osseo and out to Anoka.
Yeah.
What we refer to now as that highway, that County Road 18 that goes out to
81?
Rogers,
Yeah.
that was Trunk Highway 152. That came out of North Minneapolis and up what we now refer to as Brooklyn Boulevard. And then they joined down there on Brooklyn Boulevard and what they call Botno Drive now. So you know the history then of what the highway system was, because that's all the roadways and the underground sewer, water, storm sewer are all called infrastructure that we depended on. So here we had a city with a water tower and a water system just on the, a block or two east and west of Central Avenue. And so the city council at that time, in 1956, installed a sewer system. Now here was the problem for the design engineer at that time, who was Ralph D. Thomas and Associates. I know that. I used to have the original plans when I was later the city engineer. Is that Brooklyn Park didn't have any sewer system. Maple Grove didn't have any sewer system. The closest connection for a sanitary sewer system was Crystal.
Wow.
Okay, so they designed it all to go to a major pumping station here on 2nd Avenue between 3rd and 4th.
Sure.
That nice brick building there. And then a force main took it down to another pumping station just like it, where Walmart store is now. And then a force main there took it down to to the Crystal sewer system on about 62nd and I'll refer to it as Botno Drive or whatever you want to call it now. Yeah, I don't know what it. But anyway, so you see, it was very complicated.
Yeah.
In 1956, and the contractor that put the sewer system in was Lametti and Sons from St. Paul. And back then, it was all, the sewer pipes were all clay pipe, about 2 feet long.
Clay.
So they were making joints really close together. And then they would put a 6-inch service line up to the property line, so that then the people would have to be able to hook up to that. So anyway, that was the beginning of a change then for Osseo, because once they had the sewer system in and they had the water system for a part of the old town, then they could expand to the east over there, and that's when those newer subdivisions could be built, because they could furnish them then with sewer and water.
Sure.
See?
Yep.
And so the big construction job then, after the sewer was put in, they tore up all the streets. There wasn't very many that had any blacktop on them before anyway. So after they put the sewer in, Paul, everything was a mess. So I spent, instead of most of my time on any sewer work, it was patching holes.
So what was the material of the roads prior to laying the sewer, laying the asphalt? What were the roads? Were they just like a rough gravel, or were they
Yeah,
concrete or
real gravel.
wow?
And some of them had some
Into the 50s.
some blacktop a little bit,
The big
around
ones.
here, but they were not in good shape because, with all the sewer construction, it's pretty well wrecked them,
Sure.
So anyway, and so this was my job between 1957 and 1961. Now, in 1959, then they had a total town street construction project. That's when I think it was Barton Construction out here in Maple Grove had the contract, and they put in a lot of curb and gutter and blacktop streets, because then they could do that where it was. But the eastern part of the town now, at that time, if you know where Sipes Park is down there?
Yeah.
Okay, if you started at Perkins there and went up past on the west side of Sipes Park and extended it out to the St. Vincent Cemetery, that land east of that was Brooklyn Park. Okay, but there was some deal between the city of Osseo, Brooklyn Park, and MnDOT that when 169 goes around Osseo, that land would become part of Osseo. So you see, later on then, after that happened, then the sewer and water could be extended to those areas that I just described, the western part of that. In fact, Dick McMahon, I don't know if you remember him or not, had a farm. His farmhouse is still right over there on the end of Broadway, because our company, and in fact I was with the company when we subdivided it into lots on 8th and 9th Street, and then put in sewer and water, and the system wasn't designed to, the sewer system in 56 wasn't designed to take care of them, and so we had to put in a lift station down there on Broadway, and I'd call it 7th Street.
Right across from St.
Yeah.
Vincent, or St. Paul's Church.
Yeah,
Oh,
across
sure.
from
Right
St.
across the
Paul's
street.
Church.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then the southeast area there for Sipes Park and those streets there, 7th and 8th, then they got sewer and water too then. And so those were kind of add-ons after, but what I learned so much, Ken and Ann and Paul, was I would attend all the council meetings in 57, 58, 59, you see, and then I was present when all this construction was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gathering information all the time in my head, learning where everything was and knowing how it got there and where it came from.